Well, hello, eighth grade. Well, I hope you did well on your test. And now we're going to move on to the next chapter, which is chapter 17. And this is a good chapter. It covers some interesting things. We're going to talk about earthquakes, and then we're going to talk about volcanoes, and then we're going to talk about heated groundwater. But starting off with earthquakes. So we're going to be discovering what earthquakes are, what causes them, what about locations, what kind of waves are traveling through the earth. How do we know about those? We can't see underground. Well, earthquakes and volcanism, which is the study of volcanoes, are geological events that occur mostly in the same regions. In other words, they're not random. They don't just occur everywhere. And both are currently thought to be related to plate tectonics. Now, you remember what that is, right? The idea that the Earth is broken up into plates that are floating around on the asthenosphere, bumping into each other, some pulling away from each other. That's called divergent plate boundaries, where they're pulling away, some pushing into each other, which is convergent plate boundaries, and some moving side to side, and that's transform plate boundaries. Well, both types of events, earthquakes and volcanoes, indicate the instability of the Earth's structure. People like to think of the Earth that they stand on as very solid, right? Well, those who have experienced a severe earthquake or have been near an erupting volcano may have second thoughts about the Earth's stability. An earthquake, let's get to a definition. An earthquake consists of a series of shock waves traveling through the Earth. Some of these waves travel along the surface and others through the interior of the Earth. Most earthquakes are too slight for a person to feel. Still, a few earthquakes each year shake the ground enough to frighten people nearby, and occasionally, a strong earthquake near a city causes great devastation. Now, believe it or not, you've all lived through earthquakes. Some of them maybe you've even felt. Now, I've apparently slept through some that were felt by others. I can't ever remember feeling any, although my wife has, even here in Georgia. So we're going to be taking a closer look at earthquakes. So let me give you some interesting facts first about earthquakes. Number one, natural events such as volcanic eruptions and meteor impacts can cause earthquakes, but the majority of naturally occurring earthquakes are triggered by the movement of Earth's plates. Number two, the Earth's surface consists of 20 constantly moving plates. The pressure increased from shifting plates can cause the crust to break. This break allows stress to be released as energy, which moves through the Earth in forms of waves, earthquakes. Number three, normally it's not the shaking ground itself that claims lives during an earthquake. It's the destruction of man-made structures and the instigation of other natural disasters such as tsunamis, avalanches, and landslides. So it's not usually the shaking of the ground that doesn't kill you. It's the things that the shaking destroys that can kill us. Number four, the National Earthquake Information Center records an average of 20,000 earthquakes every year. That's about 50 a day around the world. There are, however, millions of earthquakes estimated to occur every year that are just too weak to be recorded. Number five, each year, the Southern California area has about 10,000 earthquakes, the majority of which go unnoticed. However, if there's a large earthquake, the aftershock, which are sort of like smaller earthquakes that follow it, that will produce many more earthquakes of all magnitudes for months. Number six, almost 80% of all the planet's earthquakes occur along the rim of the Pacific Ocean, called the Ring of Fire. Maybe you recognize that from a Johnny Cash song. A region that encircles the Pacific Ocean and is home to 452 volcanoes. That's 75% of the world's active and dormant volcanoes. Number seven, the largest recorded earthquake in the United States was a magnitude 9.2 that struck Prince William Sound, Alaska, on March 28th, that's my birthday, 1964. That's before I was born. Number eight, the largest recorded earthquake in the world was a magnitude 9.5 in Chile on May 22nd, 1960. That must have been amazing. A 9.5 out of 10. Number 9, when the Chilean earthquake occurred in 1960, seismographs recorded seismic waves that traveled around the world. These seismic waves shook the entire earth for many days. Number 10, an undersea earthquake in the Indian Ocean, I remember this, triggered a series of devastating tsunamis on December 26, 2004. The tsunami struck the coast of most landmasses bordering the Indian Ocean, bringing 100-foot waves and killing over 225,000 people in 11 countries. And finally, number 11, Alaska is the most earthquake-prone state and one of the most seismically active regions in the world. The region experienced a magnitude 7.0 earthquake almost every year, and a magnitude 8.0 or greater earthquake approximately every 14 years. Okay, now, before we get into more specifics about earthquakes, I'm actually going to have you watch a short video that deals with earthquakes and shows some really good explanations and animations. Now, let me do say that the presenter comes from a uniformitarian viewpoint, an evolutionary, atheistic, in other words, viewpoint. And I say that because he mentions, with plate tectonics, he mentions millions of years. Now, he says that one time and all the other information is fine. But remember, everybody has a worldview. And so when you hear millions of years, it's assuming an old Earth that comes from a presupposition, an assumption that there couldn't be anything supernatural. And things never could have gone at a different speed or pace than they do right now. That's uniformitarianism, right? Which is unproven. All right, so just keep that in mind. But otherwise, it's a great video. Lots of good information. So check that video out. And then make sure you do the exit slip. All right, that's it for today. And I'll see you guys later.